Hi, so welcome to the final part of your project that involves looking up information on the website. And this is actually one of the more fun parts because, of course, it deals with a lot of the different fun activities and items that are part of university life. So let's go ahead and get started. So the very first thing that your project is asking for is just 4 pieces of information about resident life. That can be names of dorms, it could be the cost of dorms, anything that's related to housing on the university. So if you look at the top here, you can see that we have a button that says Campus Life. More often than not, you will see something similar to this on your own university, something called Campus Life, Student Life. If you're researching a particular college, it may be, Cougar Life, who knows. In this case, we can see that we have food and housing as a link right on the screen. So we click on that. And so it's currently loading up, and we go straight to food and housing, which is actually 2 things on my list. So the first thing is, if we look here, we can see where it says student housing services. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And so when I do, it actually brings up the housing page. And so if I click on these, you can actually see the various halls. And so this is a great way to actually take a look at some of the different housing options that I have, especially because if I'm going to this university in Hawaii, more often than not, I'm going to need to live on campus. So you can kind of take a look at some of the housing halls. So we'll click on the first one. Excuse me. And so it gives you an idea of, some of the features of this particular hall, what are, some of the specifications, gives you a rate for how much it would be to live in this particular hall for the year, for fall and spring. Double occupancy means that basically it'd be you and a roommate. So, as well as some other information such as layouts and even maybe giving you some pictures. So you can, again, for your project, you can just kind of click around, view some different places, kind of see what you can find. It's always really fun. The next thing for your project is finding information about dining. And so if you can go, of course, to this page here, which shows you food and dining. But if we're in the housing one, it also gives us a link for residential dining. And so when I click on that, you can see it tells me some information about the meal plans in addition to the cost of the meal plans. And so we have different meal plans for maybe how many times we may want to eat through the university versus maybe making food for ourselves. And so, again, if you scroll down, it shows you some of their large scale cafeterias as well as some of their independent venues that you can go to purchase food. So again, for the sake of your project, you're just finding just 4 pieces of information in regards to the dining at the campus. So the next thing that you are going to be looking at for your project is going to be sports or athletics. It can be intramural or professional. So a lot of campuses, of course, they have professional sports where they are part of divisions and televised, etc. But you will also have independent sports groups for students who just really want to play basketball, but they maybe are not going to be an official part of the university team, or students who really want to play volleyball, but they are not an official part of a nationally recognized team. And so that's what you call intramural sports versus your professional sports. So in this situation, you can see that I actually do have a link here for athletics. However, if your particular university does not, again, you'll probably find it under campus life. And in this case, you can actually see that I have a separate link for athletics, but I also have a separate link for sports and recreation. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And you can see that it does give me some, just right off the bat, it gives me some information regarding some of the different programs that they have. So we can see that we have athletics over here that I can click on, as well as intramural sports. So again, these are going to be our professional collegiate teams, and our intramural teams are the ones where students have, said, hey, we want to create a soccer team to be able to compete against other colleges. And again, it's not going to be professional level, it's going to be colleges versus other colleges. And so again, for the sake of your project, all you're having to do is just find information about 3 different sports that your particular university offers, whether it be professional or intramural. And this is kind of fun to look at when you're looking at some of the clubs and sports, because a lot of this stuff is going to be really dependent upon where your university is situated. In a case like this, for example, for Hawaii, we know, of course, Hawaii is a very large island. And so, in this case, you have a sailing club or a sailing group. This is definitely not something that you would find, say, at U of H, which really doesn't have access to, have a bunch of sailboats, going around. So the next thing that your project is going to be asking for is campus organization. So again, your campus life, student life, etc. This is where you will find information about the different organizations on your campus. And again, these organizations are varied. You will be very, very surprised by all of the different kinds of organizations that campuses have to offer. I've seen campuses that offer Quidditch teams. There was one of the Ivy Leagues that I went to a meeting. They had an Arnold Schwarzenegger appreciation club, and so they just watched Arnold Schwarzenegger movies and discussed them as a club. So you never really know what you're going to find. If you are having trouble finding a list of organizations, that's where your handy dandy search bar becomes very useful. So I'm going to type in organizations. And so right off the bat, I get student organizations. And of course, I could have also just typed in student organizations. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And you can see that it automatically directs me to what's called chartered organizations and independent. Chartered organizations are the ones that are nationwide. They're usually registered through some official affiliate. Independent organizations are clubs where students say, hey, I think we should have blank club at this school. And they find other like-minded students, they find a sponsor. If it's clubs that may be set up at other universities, they may reach out to them as well, and then they will register with the school to form that club. So in this case, let's take a look at some of the independent clubs. And we can see that we currently have a very nice list that is here showing some of the different clubs on campus. So we have the accounting club, we have advocates for public interest in law, machinery, we have a belly dancing club. So this is just giving me a list, and this is obviously not what my project is wanting. My project is asking for campus organizations and descriptions, but now that I know what kind of clubs that the University of Hawaii at Manoa offers, I can go to my handy dandy search bar and let's type in belly dance. And so you can see here's the belly dancing group, and here's information about them. So it gives me information about what they're about, what a brief description. You can see that there is a link for more information. So again, for the sake of my project, all I'm needing to do is just find 4 different campus organizations, and you can see there's a whole lot to pick from. We have almost 300 organizations that I can find information about, and for my project I only need 4. Remember, you do need to also include a description, not just a list of organizations. The next thing that you're going to do is look for the campus bookstore. Now, some universities will actually have a link to the campus bookstore on their main page, again, usually under campus life, or they may have the link to the bookstore at the very, very bottom of the page. In this situation, you can see that it's neither. And that's okay. If you go to your handy dandy search bar and just type in bookstore, it doesn't matter what university you are researching, the campus bookstore will pop up, because of course it is one of the more popular areas for students to visit to buy their textbooks. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And you can see that it gives me the web page for the campus bookstore. And for the sake of my project, I need to get the information for, their address, phone number, and so forth. And so you can see here when I scroll down, it actually does say find us, and here's the address as well as the phone number should I need to reach out to them to ask them about textbooks. Campus map, you will always, I very rarely have seen otherwise, but you will always be able to find a campus map at the very bottom of the page, and you can see here where it says campus map. If you cannot find a campus map at the bottom of the page, then the About Me page for the university, again, will usually house the campus map on there. So when I click on that, you can see that it gives me different maps that I can take a look at. And so let's go ahead and take a look at the new map that they have. And so this one's a little bit more interactive, showing me the campus. So in this situation, I'll probably screenshot this, and then of course I can put this on my project. But it gives me a really nice idea of like what the spacing of the campus looks like, about how big it is, about how many buildings they have. Is my campus, locked into a city area? Is it actually, by, trees, nature, etc.? So this kind of gives me a nice little idea of kind of my size of my university, as well as just the location within the city, town, or wherever it's located. So then the final part of your project is actually asking for 3 places of interest in the city that the college resides in. Now that's the key word, in the city that the college resides in. If I type in Manoa, Hawaii, so we're just going to type in Manoa, Hawaii. We're not going to have the edu because otherwise it'll take me right back to the college. Then what will happen is that automatically the university pops up again. That's because there is no city of Manoa. Manoa is actually, and it even tells you right here, it's a neighborhood within Honolulu. So if I'm looking for this last part of my project, then really what I need to do is I need to say, things to do in Honolulu. And so this is where I can find information about what can I do in this particular city. Now, the reason I included this in your project is because keep in mind that this is where you will be living. So when you go to this campus, even if you decide to stay at home, then you will be living in Houston, so getting outside of your neighborhood and kind of exploring beyond the boundaries of your street, what are some of the things that you can find to do in Houston? If you are going to a different city, then again, that is going to be your home for, however long you're going to be at that university. So it may be a couple of years, it may be 4 or 6 years if you decide to continue on and get your master's or so forth. So if that's going to be your home, then what can I find to do there? So in this case, you just really need to just only find either 3 places of interest or 3 activities that are available within the city that your college is located. Because again, you want to enjoy yourself. You don't want to actually just be bored out of your mind. So that's it. That is your AVID project. We have reached the end, and I look forward to seeing all of your projects as you turn them in. Thanks a lot.